Welcome to The Greater Journey. I'm your host, Gregory Rutledge, author of From Waiter to Greater and creator of the Greater Framework. On this show, we don't just celebrate the highlight reel, we dive into the trenches, the doubts, the detours, the lessons, and the breakthroughs that shape who we become. Each conversation here is going to follow the Greater Framework, which you can find in my book, From Waiter to Greater. And my goal is to uncover the moments that made my guests greater, so you can find the courage to step boldly into your own journey. Let's jump in. Welcome to the Greater Journey. All right, on today's episode, we have future Dr. Greg Alexander and his COO, Eric Kibodeaux. Did I say that right?
You did.
I did. Okay, perfect. And they are with Safe Connect ID. And I'm not even going to take away any of the glory of what this is and what it does. I'm going to let them tell you what it is. But let me just say this. Mental health is something that's been a buzzword, but it needs to be more than a buzzword. It needs to be something we take action on, because there are people that are dying every day because people are uneducated about how to handle mental issues properly. And what they are bringing to the world is something that every parent of a child with special needs will be much, much appreciative of. So, what's the story, guys, that started you that most people don't know?
Well, it started with my dissertation. You know, I wanted something to write about that was passion, that was going to help, people. And it was just a blessing to know that I came across this subject, or this gap in mental health. And so the research that I was doing was showing that people with disabilities, people with autism, Down syndrome, Alzheimer's, dementia, or even just any disability at all, are 4 times more likely to be shot or misunderstood by police during their encounters.
Yeah.
And so what I did is, I thought, if I'm going to write about this and do the research on it, then I'm going to build it. So I found a great tech engineer.
Okay.
And we got to work. And I totally funded this out of my pocket.
Wow.
And that's how passionate I am about this. And it has been this journey that helping individuals in need, especially, I have relatives that have, disabilities, and that could be easily misunderstood by police. And I didn't tell you that I'm a police officer. I'm a current Texas peace officer right now.
Oh, wow.
And so whenever we come across someone, let's say the little emblem on your tag, the handicap,
Yeah.
it doesn't tell us anything.
Right.
I mean, we just see an emblem and we walk up on the car we know this person has a handicap, but what kind of handicap do they have?
It could be a limp. It could be a stutter. It could be anything. Like disability, it's something people can actually manipulate the system to get. And, you never know who's manipulated the system, who's pretending. So the Safe Connect ID. Okay, so I knew kind of a little bit of the story beforehand, but for the listeners, what was the thing that made you decide? I know writing the dissertation about it, being passionate about it, but there's something under there that's driving this. Usually someone's not passionate unless there's something deeply personal to them. And I don't know if you're comfortable sharing this. So I'm asking, but I don't want to mention it unless you're comfortable with it.
Well, it's not that I'm not comfortable sharing. It's just I don't know that my other half would be comfortable sharing that information.
That makes sense. Okay, we'll leave that alone. there are family members that have a disability and you've seen it in your work, and that's enough. That's all we need to know. That's all the
And
passion you need.
if you go back and look at the news, I mean, we have an incident in Idaho that happened several months ago about a 17-year-old with nonverbal autism
Mm.
that gets shot in his front yard by police
Oh
and
my
killed.
gosh.
And
Horrible.
so we need to give police tools that they can use in mental health situations. And that's the passion. Me being an officer, I'm tired of seeing police getting killed by mental health challenges and then police shooting people with mental health challenges.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of
That's
goes both ways. It's not it's a highway straight through. It's not a bike path meets a highway, you know.
I didn't even think about that perspective. The officers getting killed for mental disabilities. Like that's a perspective I literally did not ever think of.
Mhm.
Wow. And so, Eric, where do you come into this equation? Because I found out a little ahead of time, but I just want the audience to see how this is the perfect combination of people to be working on this.
Well, I mean, my background's in healthcare, so I've been in the medical field for close to 30 years.
Wow.
And so dealing with some of the, patient privacy and the HIPAA aspects of the platform and everything, that's kind of where my skill set comes in. But just being a doctor and understanding a lot of these, even physical disabilities,
Mm,
there's times where some people are on they may be struggling with a certain disability, but then they may also be on medications that slow down their processing,
yeah.
which escalates a police encounter.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have an individual who has certain specific triggers, which could be the strobe lights of the police car or high volume demanding officers, where if the officer knew ahead of time before he got there, it may allow him to treat individuals differently rather than escalating a situation. It may de-escalate a situation. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's just basically how I kind of fit into the picture here.
And I have personal experience with this. Some a relative of mine, will just keep it anonymous all the way across the board, right? Was in downtown Fort Worth and he's waiting for an Uber, blacks out and wakes up in a jail cell with bruises and his body hurts and has no recollection of what happened. The last thing he remembers was waiting for an Uber. So now he's sitting in this cell with public intoxication charges for having a seizure. And it's like how is this okay? And how are we in 2025 and no one's done anything about this? But here you are. So I have to ask, there's always that opposition, that disruption that follows your intention. Was there a moment in all of this that you felt overlooked or underestimated?
Um, I really haven't talked to a lot of people about this in a way that produced any negativity.
Hmm.
Um, they all think we need this. I think a lot of them that I've talked to are a little bit scared because this is something new.
Hmm.
Um, I've heard mentions about what if the government got a hold of this? How would they use it? Um, but as far as really having any kind of challenging, um, I think the biggest part would be HIPAA. That's
Hmm.
probably I get most questions about HIPAA. And
Yeah.
a lot of people don't understand is HIPAA, there's no HIPAA with police.
Hmm.
As long as police are using it in an investigative or probable cause manner. Now
Wow.
they can't drive around in their patrol cars, jump on their MDTs and run their ex-wife mental health to see what she, is going on. That's a violation of HIPAA. But
Hmm.
they have to be using it in a way that is protecting the public's
Yeah.
interest.
To protect and serve, right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
And
that makes
even
sense.
with the platform, and I know that we haven't gone deep into the platform, but even with the platform, only certain things are visible, not just any medical information. So there are some things that are very much protected, and that is correct what Greg is saying. A lot of people are just kind of scared of the idea about HIPAA. But in all fairness, if you bring, well, there's so many different inventions that have happened over the course of mankind that when they first came on the scene, people were scared of it because it's something new.
Yeah.
The other thing is a lot of times when people go to their physician, they sign paperwork, which is assignment of benefits with their doctor. And the assignment of benefits basically just allows the doctor to send over the internet your diagnosis codes to insurance companies in some other state to bill your insurance. So that information is already being encrypted and protected out there, and that's all we're doing. We're doing the same thing where it's encrypted and protected. So it's just something new that more than anything is something people are scared about. But like we started the podcast, mental health and physical disabilities have been pushed to the forefront where the stigma is starting to kind of fade away, where that's not quite so scary to keep in a locked up lockbox in a closet. Now, if people need help, they need to get help, period. And then secondly, it's not quite as scary when you're talking about trying to protect people when you see unfortunate encounters every day on the news, newspaper, the internet, everywhere. And so we're just trying to close that that gap, I guess, that misinformation gap.
Yeah. It's such important work, man.
And just to piggyback off of that, I've made it free for police. Police departments across the nation, whether it's sheriff's departments, constables, police departments, federal, state law enforcement, they can all use it for free.
Wow.
I didn't want to have to. I didn't want barriers put in place because of political hoops that people have to jump through to be able to use something that could possibly save lives.
Absolutely. Man, this is incredible, guys. Like, I mean, I know that just the sheer amount of senseless things that happen in the news. I mean, people are quicker to grab their phone and try to create some viral content than to try to help someone with it. And so just putting this in place is that, this isn't just a platform to inform. This is a movement to transform the world because, yes, it may start in the US, but like I imagine this being worldwide because I don't know. I know you had some numbers for me when we spoke, but there are a lot of lives that are lost unnecessarily.
It's not just necessarily the lives that are lost, but just the human dignity.
Yeah.
That's kind of misplaced sometimes with law enforcement officers. It may not always result in a death, but just human dignity, like you mentioned earlier, with somebody who woke up with bruises in a jail cell. I mean, that person's they didn't pass away, thankfully, but I'm sure their dignity was violated, along with whoever, if there was somebody around, like you said, with a cell phone trying to create content.
Right. Yeah. And as the relative, finding out about this the day, like, you don't know where your relative is, and then you get a call that they're in jail, like, that could have been worse, right? But with this in place, like, there's a lot of peace of mind, not just for the relatives, but for the people that are affected. So
I wanted to, if you don't mind, I wanted to piggyback off of that. The research that I did whenever I was putting this together is I talked to a lot of people that had sons and daughters of autism, high functioning autism, nonverbal autism. I did some research and talked to people with disabilities and even people with Alzheimer's. They will not call the police again because they're scared how the police are going to interact with their loved ones. And even to the point where one individual said he's in a wheelchair and can't use his legs. The police made him get out of his van to prove that he was disabled.
Talk about
And
dignity.
and so this platform will allow them to go on to safeconnectid.com. They can register a profile. They can put as much information or as least information that they want to. They don't have to give their full medical. They can put their name. They can put high functioning autism. They can even put their tag number, because high functioning autistic people drive. And that way, when police officers run their tag information through the platform, it will pull this up as well. And so, and then they put their people to contact. And then when police run them through this information and they're having some challenges, then they can reach out to these people, their contacts, and say, look, I have your loved one here. Can you kind of give me some information on what's going on? Or they have some information so they can have a more compassionate interaction.
That's so, just the compassion. The compassion is what we need more of. And, the thing that comes to mind, I know it's done now, or just about done now. But was there a time where there was a struggle or setback that made you feel like this wouldn't be done? Or like, was there a time where you felt like it might not ever see the day of light?
Whenever I was developing the platform, I hired an overseas company to do the platform. And it was not a good experience. And they kept wanting more money. And it was almost like they were holding it hostage until I gave them more money. And I, of course, Eric was with me then, and so was my tech. And we just decided we're never, ever doing that again. We're going to keep everything local, because it just about didn't happen, because I was funding this out of my pocket, and I was about to run out of money.
Wow.
So it nearly didn't happen.
Wow. And to think, money, again, we talked about this earlier. You didn't want money to be the blocker for this solution to be in the world, and it almost literally happened. Wow.
And as of this day, I don't have an investor. I'm still funding this out of my pocket. That's how passionate I am about this, how much I want this to go through. We're not a nonprofit, so we really can't take any donations or anything like that. But for the sake, it's been challenge. It's been a challenge in the financial area.
Yeah. And I have no idea what it's like to build a platform like this.
It's scary, man.
I was gonna say, it's like, doing a podcast, coaching people, that's safe, that's easy, right? But like, you're getting involved with things that could potentially cause some political unrest, some like.
Greg, you're gonna get. I'll give you some information that nobody has. Only on your podcast.
Let's go.
We developed a platform where gun vendors can run your mental health without violating HIPAA before they sell a weapon.
Get out of here.
No, we haven't released it yet. We have it developed. We have the platform built. And all the research that we've done is they would use it.
Wow.
Because you have to give consent to buy a weapon, because they have to run your criminal history.
Yeah.
So if you give consent for that and give consent for the mental health part of it, that's all in consent.
And once again, all that mental health information when it comes to the gun vendors is all protected. Nobody sees anything. All you get is a pass-fail type notification. There's no information that the vendor even sees or knows about other than just pass or fail. So yeah, there's times where we've seen those kinds of stories on the news as well. And everybody says, well, we saw the flags, we just never put it all together. Because in retrospect, you may see these indicators, and it's just certain diagnosis codes. It's not just any mental health code. You know, there are some critical health codes that are dangerous to themselves and to society, and those are the ones that get flagged, not just any mental health.
Because who's truthful about their mental health when they go buy a weapon?
Yeah, really. I mean, most people will probably want to buy a weapon off themselves or someone else. They're
Well,
not.
funny you say that, because we were talking to a big box and a big box store that sells. We don't want to name anybody,
Okay.
but we were talking because we went out and did our research, and one of the big box says, hey, there's people that has come in and went out in the parking lot and off themselves after they buy a weapon from them. So it
Seriously?
does happen.
That is so unsettling.
So we just, we're wanting to do a few more things on that before we release it, but we feel like that we, that would be a very useful tool, in the coming.
And again, these are all things that make people scared in the beginning,
Mhm.
and we get it. We also know that we're to some degree market disruptors, and that also gets either people on your side or very much against you. We understand that. We also understand that it's a political hot potato, which we get that, but we're here to serve the greater good, the community of the United States, and people that should not be, um, you know, shot or killed or those types of things that would be, a danger to society. So that's the other part of the platform. But I want to circle back to what Greg was talking about on Safe Connect ID. That yes, police and law enforcement and all law enforcement agencies, not just local police, could be state police, national, anything, get to use the Safe Connect ID part of it for free. But families, whenever they create a profile for their sister, brother, parent, child, or themselves, um, our fee right now is only $36 a year to have that profile. So whenever they put in whatever information they want, they don't have to put. They can only put in certain things. Let's say maybe they have Asperger's or Tourette's or something along those lines, or an auditory processing disorder. They don't have to put in everything else, just whatever they feel is the most critical. That $36 a year is cheaper than what most people pay for their home security system and registering it with their local police department. So, for instance, if you have a home security, you normally pay roughly about $50 a year to your local police department, so that if your house alarm goes off, they get notified and come and check on your house. Well, our platform for them is $36. It's $14 cheaper than that fee.
Wow.
And it goes everywhere in the United States.
Wow. That's
Everybody that's using all the police departments that are using this. So
that's about 10
So if
cents
you're
a
on
day,
vacation
right?
in another state, or if you're sending, your child with Asperger's to grandma's house in Idaho, as long as those law enforcement officers or police departments are using that, that information goes everywhere.
Wow. Now, this cost for the $36 a year, is it for the person signing up with the platform so
It's
that
who you're
it's
registering that profile for that individual. So if you're a parent and you're registering, let's say your brother, your legal guardian, or maybe your parent with Alzheimer's, maybe your child with Tourette's, whatever the case may be. Now, if you have two children, then obviously it's 36 times two. But but basically that's what you're doing by creating their profile.
Okay. I just
And
wanted to make sure I understood that. Okay.
And this will allow the police to continue to use it for free.
So the cost is on the user so that there's no friction from the government or law enforcement to say, oh, we can't afford that. We don't have the budget for that.
Right.
That is
That,
genius.
along with the parent, is the one volunteering healthcare information. So they have decided to release that information, which means they're not restricted by HIPAA because you're volunteering that information in that profile. And the only people that can see it, of course, are the law enforcement officers. Nobody else can see that, including Greg and I and anybody else that works for mental verification technologies. We can't see that either.
It's just there for the people that need it when they need it.
Correct. And when
This
that
is
child
genius.
turns 18, that information would fall off because they're an adult, unless they're still under guardianship, because maybe they have, a mental disability where they have to have a legal guardian. But if they are, let's say, somebody with Asperger's who can function, it's a high functioning autism. If they want to continue to pay for it, they pay for it as an adult and keep that profile. Otherwise, it just falls off at 18.
And does any of that stay in the system, or do they have to pay to keep it in the system?
Correct.
Okay. Could they pay multiple years in advance?
Yes, they can pay up to 2 years.
Okay.
And the other thing is maybe this is maybe your child is having a hard time at school. Maybe they've had some mental health challenges and they want the school resource officer to know about it. Well, they would be the only ones that could see that information if they ran the child's name, in our system. So they would know how to have a more compassionate interaction if there was some mental health challenges there during school.
This is so beautiful. I can't stop smiling because, like, I remember when we met a couple years ago and you told me you were doing this, and then we've missed each other every day since trying to do just this. And here it is. It's ready. It's going to change lives. It's going to save lives. It's going to save people their dignity. How? So this is the first episode of this podcast. It's going to grow, and people are going to go back at some point and listen to this. What do you want that listener to hear when they are wondering, how can I support this? How can I help them to get this to the world? What do you want them to know?
Buy a profile for if you don't have children, everybody in the United States knows somebody with a disability, maybe suffering from autism, maybe suffering from Down syndrome. Everybody in the United States knows somebody that has challenges. Get them a profile. Buy them a profile and say, hey, I'm buying you a profile. Go on and register.
Wow.
That could save their life. You don't necessarily have to be their relative. You can just say, here, I'm buying you a profile. Go on here and register. I want to save your life.
Or if you remember, if you have a child that has one of these types of illnesses or disabilities that's already part of a foundation, then tell other people in your network in that foundation about it as well. Yes, tell your friends, family, coworkers, people that we all know somebody once or twice removed, even in our own families, that might have one of these conditions that need to have a profile. But if you're also a member of, let's say, the Autism Foundation or, Alzheimer's Society, network and tell other people, because they're all the most vulnerable and are susceptible to these encounters and need to be informed about a platform like this that can help possibly save their lives and their dignity.
I didn't tell you that on Safe Connect ID you can put a picture of your child or you can put a picture of your adult on there, so you know what you're looking for, so they can match. So it's not just information; You can put a picture of them on there.
Yeah. So they
So
know exactly what to
mhm.
expect, who they're looking for, and wow, this is incredible, guys.
And
Um,
we haven't even scratched the surface. We haven't even told you about Counselor Connect. We haven't even told you about the National Mental Health Information Center.
well, let's go into it. I know these episodes are supposed to be 30 minutes, but this one's good. I think this one will go a little longer. Let's go. Let's scratch this surface.
Okay, so Counselor Connect is a platform where counselors can schedule, keep track of their clients. They can, check, keep up with their practice, and they can pull information from the National Mental Health Information Center to better serve their clients. It's kind of like if I was a counselor and I have somebody coming in and I ran them and it pulled up that they had schizophrenia,
Hmm.
maybe I'm not the one that needs to be talking to them.
Mm.
Maybe, or maybe somebody's moving counselors and they need a counselor out in you know Arizona. So that person in Arizona, as long as they're on our platform, can pull that stuff, pull their information, and pick up right where they left off.
Wow.
So I'm trying to fill the communication gap in the counseling realm because it's very broken.
Yeah.
and
And very needed.
and the National Mental Health Information Center carries EHRs, electronic health records,
Hmm.
and it only goes out and it looks for personality disorders. We're not looking for any kind of like little anxiety or depression. We're looking for personality disorders.
Hmm.
And officers can pull that as well besides the Safe Connect ID. It tells them what prescriptions they're on, what their diagnosis is, who's their counselor, if there's one listed, when the last time they were in a mental health hospital. It gives them all of that.
Which will be so helpful because I've seen videos come across my feed where, they said this lady was drunk and they were asking her what she was on, and she's just, you can see she's genuinely scared for her life, and she's just taking her meds, right? But the
Right.
officer's like, I don't believe you, and someone's recording it or the body cam's recording it and just roughing her up. And if there was a little compassion applied, that could have been a safe transaction. They would have understood that, oh, okay, she's not inebriated. She's just on her meds.
Hmm.
And okay, go on about your way, be more safe next time or something like that. Just wow, I didn't even know that there was a communication gap in the counseling
Mm-hmm.
world. And I guess I should have, because that is the number one problem I think I see in every area I've been is communication. It always boils down to communication.
So there's two pieces to that Counselor Connect where counselors, if they want to advertise on our platform, society can even look for them.
Hmm.
So almost like a directory.
Hmm.
And if I'm looking for a counselor who deals with, divorce, or counselors that deal with other mental health issues, whatever the
Hmm.
case may be, that counselor, and when we say counselor, we're also talking about psychiatrists and psychologists. It's not just counselors.
Oh wow.
But the thing is if I'm looking for somebody, I need somebody who works in the specialty of the field that I'm looking for. And
So
so I could be moving to,
wow.
from Fort Worth to Little Rock, Arkansas, and I don't know anybody, and I can go onto that platform and look for free. I can also try to schedule, or it's almost like a virtual assistant if they use us, where the
Hmm.
virtual assistant, I can go on to our website and say, I want a virtual appointment or I want an in-person appointment Tuesday, November 4th. And I
Hmm.
can put in, and it goes into that person's calendar. And so
Hmm.
it's already scheduled. It also, for the professional, the healthcare professional, works the same as electronic health records, like Greg said, where
Hmm.
they can maintain all the electronic health records and then send those things off to insurance for billing and that kind of thing. But on the front office of that doctor's office, the assistant might see the calendar populate with individuals and with a scheduled time, but they don't get to see the medical records. Only the back office which is the medical professional can see the mental health records. So it's very similar to a lot of your, I think, simple practice is already out there, and we're very similar to that, but we're able to do a lot more than simple practice. So it's somewhat of a competitor when it comes to the EHR records and stuff, but our individuals, the society can basically look and find a counselor in their area, geographically, and also the area of specialty.
And plus, we're a lot cheaper. I mean, they can sign up for free right now, and if they decide they like it, they can pay $29 a month, to use the full platform, or $9 a month just to use part of the platform.
Wow.
So, I want to make it, me being mental health specialist myself, working towards my license, my LPC. I wanted to make it as cheap as I can for counselors. We're nickel and dime to death. And I want, we need them to be able to help others without worrying about, gosh, this is so expensive. This is so expensive,
Right.
So, but that's the key on that. I mean, we just, there's so many rabbit holes that this can go down.
Yeah, I'm seeing this.
I mean, the military can use it for MEPS. It would probably save the taxpayer a lot of money, because, being able to run their mental health before they enter the military. There's just a lot of things this platform can do, but it's taken this long to develop it.
Yeah.
So
it's just okay. And then you said, so there's Safe Connect ID, the Counselor Connect, and then the National Medical Information Center.
National Mental Health Information Center.
Mental Health Information.
It works a lot like the National Crime Information Center. Where we can run your criminal history. So why not have it run your mental health history?
Wow.
So
now there's upsides to this for the people that need more compassion in the world, but what about the people that are embarrassed about it? Is it just don't sign up?
Well, you got to look at it like this. What if you're living alone with schizophrenia? What are the likelihood of you getting shot and killed if police respond?
The biggest thing is there wouldn't be an advocate there like he's talking about. If somebody's there by themselves, or, there are some situations where a diabetic could be so low on their blood sugar that they become very agitated and irritated, and become combative almost. There's, not that we're focused on the diabetic side of things, but there are so many times where there may not be an advocate there in your place, because you yourself may be the one that's suffering from the mental health crisis at the moment, or having an auditory processing disorder. Maybe you're just you could be a person that deals with deafness, and you don't have maybe you're fully charged earpieces, and so you hear them talking, but you have no idea what they're saying, and all that does is escalate a situation rapidly, because they don't take that into account at all.
No, and they take it as disrespect, or just there's so many ways this could go.
Police get 40 hours of training in this area. That's it.
Seriously?
It took me 3 years to get a mental health degree.
40 hours.
There's a huge difference in knowledge and training that the police have to deal with. So this will close that gap for them.
Wow.
We know nothing is perfect, and we're not saying we're solving every problem, but the gap that Greg was talking about in the beginning is a very giant chasm, if you will, between police interaction and mental health.
Yeah,
And so what
absolutely.
we're trying to do is narrow that gap significantly. And if a lot of people, including, was it your cousin you said that had the interaction with the police officers in Fort Worth?
His relative.
Yeah, your
Oh,
relative.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
If that closed the gap even more, then there's a lot of people that we save. Number one, their life, the possibility of their dignity. But like we said, nothing's perfect, but it's also getting people past the stigma of mental health and being afraid to put a profile in.
mm,
Because, like you just asked in your question, what stops that person? Well, if they deal with that shame, we want to be able to help them pass that
mm,
by having less of their dignity robbed whenever there's an interaction.
mm.
So that those things happen, and it's not a usually. I mean, somebody might say, "Well, I've never had that interaction before with a bad outcome." Okay, well, that doesn't mean it couldn't happen in the future. There's always a situation that can, and we've seen things on our own with our own eyes, how a normal everyday encounter can go sideways in a matter of seconds.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's again back to communication. If that person knew that there was something that like a mental disability or some sort of health thing there, like for example, waited tables for 15 years. I've seen all people from all walks of life. And the one thing I find is that hungry people are the worst, right?
Yeah,
We can become someone completely different when we're hungry. But you said something about the diabetics being agitated, because their
yeah.
blood sugar drops so low. There are people that don't know they're diabetic, right? So what do we do for the people that don't even know they have a mental disorder yet, or they don't know? Like I would imagine through Safe Connect and Counselor Connect that the over time people would get more than 40 hours, the officers, the counselors would get more than 40 hours of understanding. Like now when they meet with the client, they not only know what to prepare for and what they have, but they know to kind of see the patterns of each diagnosis so that as the time goes on, everyone becomes a mental health professional, or at least more informed, to where the whole world could have a little more compassion. Because I don't know about y'all, but before, early on in life, we're not researching mental health on our free time. Like trying to learn about someone with schizophrenia and how that works. It's only when it affects us directly.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So what? There's a couple things that came to mind. Let's say it's too expensive. Like cheap is relative, right? Because cheap to a millionaire is like $20,000.
Mm-hmm.
Cheap to someone that has mental health and can probably, you know, well, there's the option for the relative to buy it for them or someone to sponsor them. Are there any partnerships with like schools, employers, insurance companies that you're considering to where this could be a service that not only does the payment shift from the government and the officers, but also shifts from the person to like an insurance company, so it could be part of their insurance or part of like benefits packages.
Well, I mean, I think I've discussed this with Eric. Maybe an alarm. Hypothetically, let's say an alarm company comes to your house and you buy an alarm system from them. If they offered a Safe Connect ID profile as part of that alarm system for maybe the family that has autistic children,
Mm,
that could actually save them in their household. You
yeah,
know, I mean, all options are on the table. I
yeah,
mean, I just want to get this out. I just
yeah,
want people to start using it. That's that's where we're at. And so, I wanted to tell you a quick story.
yes, please.
Um, So again, a relative, that was having some mental health challenges, um, was, more so, it had to go along the line of drug induced schizophrenia.
Mm.
And over time, this individual slipped through the system so many times with the brokenness of the system that ultimately led her to commit suicide.
Wow.
And so, and it affected me as well because, that was a family member.
Yeah.
And so as much as we want to get people that help, we may not be able to get those people help directly, but indirectly we could give them a profile or help them get a profile, and then police could have that information and maybe get them to the right people. So, that's kind of, that there's a way to get this out, and it's going to take the nation to do this. And
Absolutely.
that's why the logo, I know hopefully you'll put the logo up on this. I would like this logo to be a national symbol between people with autism, disabilities, and police, because there has to be a lifeline in that call for service and compassion.
I'm going to
So,
share it on the screen real quick. And for those of you listening, since this is an actual podcast now, go to safeconnectid.com.
I would love for that symbol to be a national symbol between police and people with all those disabilities, mental health, autism, you know, because police departments can put this on their website. People can click on this and sign up. And I know that Florida passed a House bill to do this.
Wow.
Kansas is doing this, and so is Maine. And I'm kind of like, hey guys, let us manage your database for free, and let's do all this electronically. So when your community moves across, state lines and stuff, this will still go with them. They're doing it locally. Like I talked to a police department in Kansas, and they just do it by a CAD system. So when somebody downloads the piece of paper, you send them the piece of paper, and then they put it in their system. It doesn't go anywhere else. It stays with that department. That needs to change. So,
yeah. And again, communication, right? It's
communication.
I don't know if you've ever been to, well, a great example is resumes, right? Like, you got to fill out your application and send a resume. Then you talk to someone else and they're like, hey, send me your resume. Then you show up and you got 2-3 copies of your resume printed. You give one to the person at the front because they asked for it. Then you give it to the person that's interviewing you. Then let's say you get a second interview. That person needs it. Like, why did I upload it and fill out my application? Right? And then the first question, so tell me about yourself. Did you not read my resume? Let's get to the conversation part. But then the doctor's office too. You fill out all this information. I had an instance with a dentist. I won't name any names, but let's just say I don't go there anymore. I had hepatitis C for 11 years. Thank God I got cured in 2018, thanks to some amazing insurance. But when I had it, I went to this dentist, and they have you fill out all this health history stuff. And I told them I have hepatitis C, right? So you're going to have to wear gloves when you're in my mouth just for safety. And so I'm about to start, and I just wanted to make sure, because I know people don't communicate. Hey, I have hepatitis C, and the doctor got an attitude with me. And she's like, why didn't you tell me this? why didn't you put it in your paperwork? I was like, I did put it in my paperwork. So now let's shift this back to you. Why didn't you read the paperwork? Why didn't your staff inform you about this? Right. And this is just, a viral, or what do they call them? Not viral disease. Is it a viral? Whatever. It was a blood disease, a bloodborne disease, right?
It's a communicable disease.
And so to punish me, she told me we'd have to reschedule and then like put it out another month or something. And I was like, I'm never coming back here. This is ridiculous. Like, you have a job to do with the information you asked from me, what you need to do to make sure you're taken care of. But if that information isn't passed, and this is just talking about, resumes, and if we have this with mental health, or with health as it is, just getting information, even if I was to put my mental health stuff on there and there was an incident, how would that be handled? Right? If you're not even looking at the stuff that could protect you, how am I supposed to know you're looking at the stuff that can protect me?
Well, we've made it very simple. I mean, police, we made it very simple. Me being an officer myself, we can only look at things in a split second. So we made this very simple.
So they see that logo, they see the disorder, they
can see it quick.
And is there like instructions of how to handle that person, how to approach them that pop up too?
There can be. The people can put that in there. May experienced extreme this or extreme that, may be unsteady on their feet, maybe, they can put that in there. In fact, all they got to do is put some information into ChatGTP and then copy that into the Safe Connect ID.
Yeah.
So they don't even have to write it.
I know.
However you feel like is the best way to interact is what that person inputting that profile would put in. So there's some control there with the parent or the guardian or whoever they're entering that child or sibling or parent's profile. If there's a certain way that they need to be interacted, like no yelling or screaming or, I mean, we're going into hypotheticals, but I'm just saying that.
Yeah,
when you say, is there can you put certain things in there? Yeah, you're in control of what you want to put in there. If you fail to put that in there, then as a guardian, you probably need to put in the correct things on how to handle that individual.
And is there, like, when you sign up, is there a guideline for like a recommendation for what they should put?
They just kind of follow the prompts.
Okay, perfect.
And there is a place that they can upload a doctor's note for the police if they want to, for proof.
Wow.
And there's a way that whenever the police can pull up that information, if they're going to, let's say, a residence, or if they happen to pull a car over, they can run it by a license plate, because you may not be at home and that person's sitting in the passenger seat or the back seat or something like that. So that car would go with that license plate can be ran along with a residence if you're going to the residence.
And here's another thing. People in jail can use this when they're bringing inmates in, or they're bringing people into the jail and they're using the system. So they can use it to see if there's any mental health.
Yeah.
We've had there's been many deaths reported in jails for mental health stuff.
It's so sad.
So,
and when you're in jail, you're treated like the worst of humans. Like, they don't care what you did. You're a criminal now.
They may not care what you did, but at the same time, you may need certain medications and you're missing those proper dosages at a certain time because you're sitting overnight, or some of the noises or just the anxiety may trigger certain episodes of certain things.
Yeah. Man, there's so, like you said, there's a lot of rabbit holes we can go down with this whole.
Absolutely.
Because mental health is so broad. Even just the name mental health.
And I will tell you this, because this was a challenge for me. I actually got a patent on this. So that was a challenge in its own. So, because of all the drawings and all the technical information, and I mean, it was a challenge,
Hmm.
but it finally went through.
So, in this process, what was the hardest setback that you faced, and how did you bounce back?
Um, right now, I think I've the financial setback.
Hmm.
We don't have a marketing. I don't. I mean, pretty much, I'm sustaining the database,
Hmm.
and so that the users that are already on it can continue to use it. Um, right now, I'm not making anything off of it.
So
We
sustaining
only
it
we only
yourself.
launched a couple of months ago, so now it's just a matter of people like yourself that's putting us on your podcast and other, what other social media that we can try to do. Because since Greg said earlier, we're bootstrapping this ourselves. There's not this deep marketing budget, so we're trying to get the word out basically, so people tell people.
Mhm.
Hey, word of mouth is the best way to spread. So, what's one last thing you want our listeners to hear?
I don't know, Eric.
I would
Say it.
just say I would just say that when your listeners hear this, take a little bit of action. Don't just enjoy the content. Tell someone that you know in your circle of influence, whether it's a coworker or, like I said, once or twice removed, or if you do have a family member, create the profile, because this doesn't work. We can sit back and enjoy the idea of us filling a major gap in the mental health interaction world with law enforcement. But until you take action and create a profile or tell somebody who needs this, um, this ends up being just listening for your enjoyment and not helping kind of save the world, if you will.
Absolutely. I'm all about action, so I would second that. Don't just be hearers of this word, be doers of this word,
Mhm.
and go spread the word with someone you know that could benefit from this. We all have that member or those members in our family that could benefit from this. I think every family at least has one, and they're suffering.
They're suffering, and we just want to maintain, their dignity in society. We look at physical disabilities and mental disabilities sometimes in a different light, and so we're just trying to give those individuals the same dignity that the rest of us walk around with.
Because everybody deserves the same compassion during police interaction.
Ooh, that was a bar. Everybody deserves the same compassion during a police interaction.
Yep,
Absolutely.
hundred
Absolutely.
percent, 100%.
Man, okay, so where can they find y'all? How can they support? I know you said you can't take donations, but like,
SafeConnectID.com, www.mentalverificationtechnologies.net.
hmm,
They can also email us on the platform.
okay,
Um, if we run into an investor, everything's on the table. So we just want to make sure that the direction for society is still maintained, because that's what this is about. It's about helping people that haven't been treated fairly in the past.
mm,
And it also helps to follow us on even our own social media channels, because Greg and I do put out content from time to time. And even though social media is kind of the way to market, the only way you can get other people to hear about it is to get more and more people just to follow us on Instagram and X and YouTube. So that's just the following piece, because we're putting out content. But the biggest thing is just telling everybody to create a profile and save the life of your loved ones.
beautiful. And what are those social handles?
It's at MVT for X, and I believe it's also for Instagram as well. So MVT is short for Mental Verification Technologies.
Okay, MVT at MVT. So
Yeah.
simple. I love it. Guys, thank you for sharing this with the greater journey. I will do everything in my power to get this out to the world, starting with this podcast. But I just envision a world where people have their dignity saved. There's more compassion in every police interaction, and people's loved ones don't have to be treated unfairly because of something that they cannot control. So I thank you for coming on the podcast. Stay tuned afterwards. We're going to have a little conversation backstage, but
Okay.
I'm going to do the outro, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I just love the outro music too. This has been The Greater Journey. We will see you in the next episode tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in. SafeConnectID.com, guys.